Welcome back, Dole Team fam. How are we doing? It's just Nikki and I today.
Just two of us. I'm eating
Yep.
Skittles. Give me like 1 second. Keep talking.
Anyways, okay, so today's episode is going to be a very quick one. So if you saw, I guess, a few weeks ago on IG, Nikki was getting feedback that Babygirl sucked. A lot of people didn't like it, and she was like, okay, we'll all watch it. We'll do our own little episode on it to give you our thoughts on the movie about dominance and submission.
Well, okay. For starters, I kept seeing TikToks about Babygirl, and everyone was like, "Oh man, it sucked. I didn't get it." Blah blah blah. And I'm like, people said the same thing about Saltburn, and I loved Saltburn. Wait, did you watch Saltburn?
I did.
What did you think?
I think Saltburn was artistic.
We don't have to
And
get into it. Okay,
it
so you
was-
didn't like it.
I feel like it was a lot of satire regarding the sheer absurdity that can come from class disparity
Yeah, I would. Okay, yeah.
and how
So-
they can both have their own. It's like the left and right, you know?
Yeah.
They've got their own issues.
No, I would agree. Anyways, I kept seeing people say that, Babygirl was bad. So I'm like, okay, well, if these are the same people that said Saltburn was bad, like I want to watch Babygirl for myself because chances are I might like the movie. So I posted about it on our stories, and a bunch of people that we got really mixed reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that a lot of our friends who are in the kink community were like, it's underwhelming. It wasn't very good. It's not a good representation of, power exchange and kink and BDSM, all of that. There were people that were like, I loved it. Some people said it was really good. It was just a lot of mixed reviews. And so I was like, well, I'm not, I want to watch this for myself. Like, regardless, I want to see it for myself.
After watching it, my initial thought is this movie is nothing about dominance and submission.
No, it's not. And okay, I mean, if you have watched the movie, dial right in. If you haven't, I'm sorry. There are going to be some spoilers because I have some very specific scenes that I do want to talk about. So maybe go watch it and then come back to this episode. But yeah, let's get into it because I have a lot of thoughts. To begin with, I agree. I do not think it's a movie about dominance and submission. When I watched this movie, you put it best, and that's kind of when it really clicked for me. You said that the main character, the woman played by Nicole Kidman, Rami,
Whatever.
yeah, reminded you of our mother, and she kind of does. And then I realized I'm like, it's about their generation, like as a whole. And so
I feel like I should explain the ways that she reminded me of our mother. Because people are going to watch and be like, what did your mom do? No.
And also, okay, and actually, before we even dive into that, let's backtrack a little bit. For anyone that has no desire to even watch the movie, let me tell you what it's about. Basically, this woman, she's a CEO of this company. She's like, she's got this beautiful family, kids, the house, money, everything. You'd think that she's like seemingly happy, but it kind of opens up with the scene where you can kind of tell maybe she's not the most satisfied in her sex life with her husband. At her company, group of interns come in. She goes on to meet this intern who is a gentleman, a very young gentleman, and they begin an affair. And through that affair, she kind of gets to explore some things that she didn't get to explore with her husband, maybe has a few epiphanies about herself. And then it kind of wraps up with her going back to her husband, not to ruin the ending. But that's kind of what it's about. They have an affair, and she starts exploring some things that she has always been interested in that she never really kind of took the time to try out.
And in the way that I said, oh, she reminds me of mom in some instances, I just thought of she reminds me of like mom and her, the generation of women in that generation.
Yes.
Which is, what generation is that? Y? X?
Yeah, I think it's like Generation X. And then, I think
That's after boomers, right?
Mm-hmm. I think
Yeah,
it's boomers.
it's like after boomers, before millennials. It's Gen
X, I'm pretty
X
sure.
and Y or something like that. Anyways, and I feel like that generation was just so confused and misunderstood and didn't really ever get to know themselves, especially their sexuality, as like things were becoming more, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that's what,
progressive. There we go.
yeah.
And I think that's the way that I said like, oh, that's what it reminds me of. That was definitely like I think what they were trying to highlight.
No, and that's what I'm saying. If I had to summarize what I think the point of the movie was in one sentence, it would be about, the consequences of suppressing your desires out of societal, norms and internal shame. Because if you look at the main character, and like if you look at the beginning, or, let me start here. Beginning of the movie, it opens up with her like riding her husband, right? She's on top of him, they're having sex. Once she's done, she goes immediately to like porn. Like she leaves the room.
Yeah, she goes into their home office, lays on the floor, and starts masturbating.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know
no,
why.
but I'm like, why the floor? I guess that's the part that I'm just like, why
Well,
not
maybe
the
she was just
chair? Why not the couch?
Okay, we don't need to focus on that.
Sorry.
Anyways, she's clearly watching porn that is about like a power exchange, because you hear the guy, like asking the woman like, I don't remember actually, but basically it's porn that depicts like a power exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she finally like comes, so you can tell like maybe she didn't necessarily, come with her husband, but then she goes watch this porn, she comes. And then the thing that intrigues her about this intern when she meets him is that like there's a dog on the street randomly that's like kind of attacking someone, and he like whistles, gets the dog's attention, has it come over, makes it like sit or whatever, and gives it a cookie, and something like that. And then later on, like she asks him, she was like, well, how did you get that dog to calm down? And he was like, I gave it a cookie. And he was like, why do you want one? Which I thought was like such a funny part, in terms of, because like I think it kind of clicked for him a little bit in that moment. I was still trying to figure out when it clicked for him that that's what she wanted, but I digress. Anyways, so clearly she's like suppressing her desires in her marriage. And then when she meets this intern, he kind of starts doing some things, very small things, that awaken the part of her that maybe wants a bit of a power exchange. For example, they're at an event. I loved this scene. They're at an event, like a waiter randomly brings her like a full glass of milk. And she was like, I didn't order this. And she looks across the room and he's like watching her. And she like locks eyes with him, finishes, like gulps down the milk, and then like wipes her mouth, and that's it. And then it closes that scene with like, everyone's already left at this point. She's at the bar paying her tab, and the intern walks behind her and he just whispers, good girl. And she just like immediately freezes and realizes that like, oh, he's the one that bought her the glass of milk, ordered her, and made her drink it. And so that was like, even if it was so subtle, that was a power exchange in a way. He kind of had her submit by drinking the glass of milk, and then he finishes it off by calling her good girl. And I watched a TikTok. The director based that scene off of something that happened to her in real life. The movie is written and directed by the same person. So I think this is a very personal narrative for the director. And if you look at the director, she's a woman who, I mean, based on, I don't know her actual age, but based on the TikTok I saw, an older woman, probably at least over 40. So someone that might be in the generation that has suppressed her interests in anything kinky. And I mean, that generation itself, like they didn't go to therapy because like it was taboo to talk about it. And, sure.
Sex was taboo.
Yes.
Therapy was taboo.
Everything was taboo.
Swinging was taboo.
Yeah. There were people that were doing. Yeah. There were people.
Being gay was taboo.
Exactly.
For some time.
Yeah.
Everything was taboo. And I'm like, well, goddamn, what was
it?
What was it?
The nuclear family was allowed. That was about it.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and so it's like, she I think the director herself had these like interests in kink, and then, and this movie was kind of showcasing her journey, and probably the fact that like she maybe didn't even start exploring it until much later in life because she didn't really have the permission to.
Yeah, but then on the flip side, you have the male main character, which is this young ass intern whose age we never find out, but we're assuming early 20s.
Yes, but the way that they depict him, like it's giving Gen Z. Like whenever he was in the scene that he was shirtless, like he had those like patchwork tattoos that all the Gen Z kids have,
No, exactly. And that's what the thing that you can tell is that he's from a much younger generation. There's definitely an age gap, and he's not the perfect dom.
No.
He's also trying to figure out what the fuck, obviously he knows, yes, they didn't really make it like super like they didn't really, like you said earlier, you don't really know like at what moment he realizes that he knows that that's what she likes. However, somehow he does realize this,
Mm-hmm.
and then he starts trying to figure it out. But then, like during their fights, he gets avoidant,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes in their first scene when they're together in that room, and he's like, well, maybe you should get on your knees or something like that. Like he
Yeah.
uses language in which like it's not a sure confident like get on your knees,
Yeah.
from a
Like he
dom.
tried it out at first. He was like, get on your knees. And then he was like, oh, maybe you should. Yeah. Like,
Exactly. It's just like, so, and then you see this guy who's just like, he's also trying to figure out, he can tell he likes it, but it doesn't mean that he has a full blueprint book on how to do it.
and I think that was a major thing in like showing the generational differences is that like she's suppressed this and is now trying to explore it. He's aware of it. For example, he was the first one that brought up safe word.
Mhm.
He was the first one that like tried giving her instructions and such. Like he's aware of it, but he still doesn't have the knowledge. And I think that, like if you look at the younger generations, millennials included and Gen Z, like we've had a lot more awareness because of social media, so many books out on kink, a lot more acceptance around like BDSM and non-monogamy and such, all of that. And so like he has more awareness around it, but he still doesn't know what he's doing. So that point is, 100% correct. But I think for the people in the kink community that are like, oh, well, it wasn't a great representation of kink or power exchange, I'm like, I think it perfectly showcased the messiness of the beginning of a BDSM journey for two people who have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
They don't know what to call anything. They don't know how to go about it. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to set boundaries or rules or even discuss what they want. Like she has no idea. He has no idea. They're coming together and it's really messy. Hence why there are like all these disagreements and like, the first few scenes where they're even trying it out kind of, feel weird and awkward.
It's awkward as fuck.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's not
it's
until
not really sexy at all, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not until they get a little bit more into it and actually start having conversations around it that then it feels a little bit more erotic and intentional and sexy. Like I think, the scene where he had her like get on her knees and drink the milk out of the plate, that was when he was kind of finally starting to find a little bit more of his footing as a dom. And I just want to say, that Saltburn bathtub scene with Barry Keoghan drinking the guy's swirling cum down the drain. That scene walked so that the milk scene in Babygirl could run.
I just don't like slurping sounds. I'm sorry. The minute it's like, you're not a fucking dog. I hate it. I don't. If someone ever told me like, lick something off, nah. Actually,
Oh, but okay. Here's another thing too. The parallel of the dog. I thought that was so well written and so beautifully done. The first time they ever have an exchange, it's her seeing him tame that dog, right? Out on the street. And then at the end, in kind of one of the closing scenes, he's back in that motel room with the dog, getting it to sit, following its commands, all of that. She wanted to be the dog. She wanted to have the commands. She wanted to feel that level of submission, in following, his commands and such and like submitting to him in that way. Like the dog represented her kind of like base desires, I thought.
But you could also just tell as a powerful woman, CEO, whatever, like she still also struggled with submission in a sense.
Well, no, and that's what and that's kind of where that messiness I was talking about really takes place. Like she fights it the whole time. She's really fighting, like in so many, like for the first time when he was like, get on your knees. And she was like, I'm not doing that. Like she fights him in the beginning so much.
Yeah,
because
at first you're wondering is like, is she trying to be a brat? And it's like, no, she's just not wanting to do it.
She's
Or
suppressing her desires like she has been this whole fucking time. So of course she's going to have no idea how to actually submit to him because she doesn't even want to herself because she feels shame in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so Via Hemp has a new gummy that I want to try out and I didn't know or at least I don't know if it's just new formula or maybe they renamed it, but it's called Revive.
Oh.
And it's a CBD CBG blend and it's a berry flavor. And I don't recall having tried that one out. I remember the Dream State, the Flow State, and then also the High Love. Those are the three that I've always liked. They do also have the Zen. Those I think are a little bit too strong for me, but
Zen is really strong. I think that's for the more seasoned hemp girlies.
Yeah, but I kind of want to try these Revive ones. But anyways, so if maybe we could just reach out to Via Hemp and see if they can send over some
Absolutely.
Revive, I would love to
Some
try that.
things we love about Via Hemp is the fact that they are farmed and crafted with care in the United States.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. And I also saw that they changed their packaging. We love a rebrand.
Oh, yes. The new packaging slaps. Guys, if you're wanting to try out Via Hemp, go to the link in our episode description. If you're 21 and plus, use code DTFAM. You do get 15% off and free shipping over orders of 100 or more. And if you're new to Via Hemp, you do get a little free gift. So again, go to the link in the episode description. If you're 21 and plus, use code DTFAM and get 15% off and free shipping if you order. Free shipping is if you order over $100. So many people who intentionally seek out kink in like a methodical way definitely get a lot of more like positive experiences in dominance and submission nowadays. But I think this is a good representation of what it was probably like in the beginning days when everybody was just like, what is this? I really want to do this, but that sounds weird. Oh, I'm broken.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. I also like the discussion that happens between the guy and the husband towards the end of the movie, because you kind of just see like, you know, the husband's obviously from her generation. He doesn't understand it. He calls it weird. And then
he was the only person in the movie though to call it dominance and submission. Did you catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The female main character, Nicole Kidman, she wouldn't even like say what it was. Which the whole time I'm just like, hello.
Yeah, but think about
naming it is the step one, bitch. Okay, anyways.
But a lot of people have a hard time even going that far.
Yeah.
How many people in the beginning of their gay journey, bisexuality journey, non-monogamy journey, kink journey don't even want to acknowledge what it actually is?
Anyways, but then, you know, he's talking to the intern guy and the husband's talking to the intern guy, and the intern guy was like, no, this is normal. This is, you know, whatever he accounts. I think he said it was something about sexuality and exploring your sexuality. And I'm like,
yeah. And no, I agree with you. That was a great point too, because like it shows the difference where like the older generation thinks like it's weird and taboo and shameful, and the younger generation's like, no, like this is normal. This is fine. You can do it. And I also do think that like, even though the intern, you know, he's young and all of that, and like he doesn't know how to be a dom, he still shows her so much care, like the way that he cuddles her and holds her and like gives her like the space to cry and have her emotions and all of that. I think that really goes to show like how much more empathy I think the younger generations have for a lot of this stuff. You know, I think millennials definitely do, but maybe Gen Z even more so.
Well, but even with like the daughter finding out that the mom cheated, or actually, I mean, she didn't even know what the mom did, but you know, the younger daughter had cheated on her girlfriend and the mom knew. And then, you know, the mom, Nicole Kidman, cheated on her husband and they were fighting, and the daughter knew that it was something, but she didn't know what. But, you know, she said like, oh, you know, my girlfriend forgave me.
Yeah.
So it was also like,
she was showing her that like forgiveness.
That
yeah. That forgiveness was possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I don't think it was a movie about kink. I think it was a movie about suppression and generational differences and showcasing like how different it is for the generations when there is like acceptance and, you know, what else? Yeah, I guess acceptance, you know, around certain things.
But using how do I want to call it? What I want to say? Using unknown desire or suppressed desire via kink as a way to like showcase all of this. Yes. Which is probably what makes the kink community upset in a way. I could see that. You know, because then it's like the show-stopping moment. It's like, oh, they want dominance and submission. But at the same time, like, I don't think it's so bad the way, like, you know, I think if people actually watched the movie and didn't think it was just about, you know, two people having power play sex and thought about it a little bit more, they could get that. But, you know, then you have the fact that, you know, regular old, like, vanilla people are just going to think that. And
I think a regular vanilla person watching this is going to be like, what the fuck did I just see?
No, exactly.
And that's why they're not going to get it. And those are the same people that did not understand Saltburn.
And that's why the kink community probably didn't like this movie.
I know,
Okay,
but
let Saltburn go. Okay, Nicole, that wasn't anything about
It was a
kink.
deeply misunderstood movie.
What do you think Saltburn was about?
Yes, it was about like the class differences. I totally get that, but I do think like it had a lot of
What about the class differences? As I said,
like the rich versus the poor, the left versus the right, that kind of narrative. But I think so much of it was wrapped in kind of the, like even though, and I don't want to get on a tangent of Saltburn, but the poor one who was staying at the house of the rich one, like it was like almost like an obsession, for him to be like so engulfed like in their world. And I think he still, even though he was like fucking with them and playing with them, I think part of him was still like so very much, I thought it was erotic and kinky in this way, like aroused and attracted to it because he was still attracted to that lifestyle and that family. Anyways, moving on, going back to,
and no, I still don't like that at the end you thought that he didn't basically kill the sister.
oh no, he did. I think that 100%.
No.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. No, he didn't kill her, but he kind of coerced her. Anyways.
Yeah. Finally, you admit it. I was right.
But the sister killed. Okay, we're not talking about Saltburn. Babygirl. The thing about Babygirl, I don't think that seeing what I saw about the director, and I could be wrong because it was just one clip, but as soon as I watched that, I thought, oh, she wrote this kind of about herself. She wrote it and directed it.
Most people do.
So I don't think that I don't think she was trying to show the message of suppressed desire through the lens of dominance and submission just to like make it clickbaity and, attract more people. I think she genuinely suppressed a lot of her kinks as a woman, and she's telling her story through this character. So I think if someone from the kink community watches this and thinks like, oh my God, they're just using BDSM as a way to like get more sexy, themes in this movie and like, get people interested in it, I don't think that's it. I think the based on that TikTok I saw about the glass of milk thing, whatever, how that was inspired by her real life, everything else was too. I think she's kinky. And she was just trying to show the messiness of exploring that when you've been suppressing yourself your whole life and you're exploring it with someone that also has no idea what they're doing. It reminded me so much like, yes, I saw a lot of mom in that main character because, I agree. Like so much of that generation just has suppressed so much, not just like sexually. I think in terms of like emotional fulfillment, in terms of like pursuing their own desires aside from like the cookie cutter lifestyle that they're supposed to follow, So
I think in terms of self-worth too.
Self-worth, exactly. But I also saw when I was looking at like the messiness of the situation, I saw the beginning of my own non-monogamous journey. Because when I think about, when I didn't know what to call it. I didn't even know. I hadn't, I saw like 2 examples of it out in the real world and that was about it. I didn't know there were books about
informed.
it. I wasn't informed at all, and that's kind of like I connected with the male character in that way, where it's like I was accepting of it and I didn't think poorly of it. And I thought, yes, people should kind of break past the cookie cutter molds, but I didn't know what I was doing either. So I resonated with the male character, the younger character in that scene, in that movie. So, I mean, if I had to like wrap it all up, I actually really liked the movie. I thought it was beautifully done. I thought there were so many really interesting and well done parallels, like the dog, right? And then like the whole generational thing. I was so upset that there wasn't a piss kink because she walked in on him peeing, and for a second I thought I was really gonna see my own kink represented. I wanted him to, in that scene, I really wished he had just like turned from the urinal and started spraying her all over. I would have been.
And then what would she have done, Nicole? Gone back to the office with her dress covered in piss?
She would have gotten on her knees like a good girl, taken the fucking piss, and then changed.
Where?
I don't know how.
She didn't even.
It's a movie.
She didn't
Just
even
cut it there.
Nicole, she didn't even want to get on her knees, and you want her to be into piss play. Like, no,
but
that's not what she wanted.
I know, but this was when they were kind of getting into a little bit more, so they were exploring more. It was sexier. I was really hoping for a piss kink scene because I haven't. If anyone knows a good piss kink movie recommendation, I would just like to see myself represented.
I'm sure there's porn on it.
Yes, I know there is, Cammy. Okay, but I want to see it out in the real world. not the fantasy world.
Was that movie not fantasy fiction?
Whatever. Anyways, I liked the movie. I thought it was really good. I'm actually going to watch it again with my boyfriend because Campy and I watched it in broad daylight next to each other trying to dissect the whole thing. I thought it was an erotic movie.
I hate watching movies like that with you because we're both just
It feels like watching porn together, and I'm like, I don't know.
No, exactly. It's like analyzing something that I don't want to do it.
Exactly. So I literally, when I was talking to my boyfriend, because after I watched the movie, he was like, because I told him, I was like, let's watch it when I'm in Italy. And then so many people were like, no, I want to hear your thoughts. So I told him, I was like, look, I got to do an episode on this before I leave. But when I get to Italy, I'd still like to watch it with you. So he asked me whenever I finished watching it, he was like, so did you like it? You know, what'd you think? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but I still want to watch it with you because Cammy and I watched it in broad daylight, just trying to dissect the whole thing. Now I want to watch it with him in a, pitch black living room.
Yeah, I was going to say that with some of that lighting, you really just need to dim down.
Don't watch this during daylight. It's a dark, like some scenes are really, half the time I was like, can you see?
I know, it's like, leave my glasses on so I can see.
Yeah, but I want to watch it with him and like get and allow myself to experience it from more erotic level because I do think some scenes were really hot and I would like to like allow myself to get in that space and then use that as a springboard into further action. And I also would like for my boyfriend to watch that and just take a few notes from some commands that I saw in that movie that I would love to experience myself in the bedroom.
Okay. Well, there you have it, guys.
Are you going to watch it with your boo or no?
We watch anime and play video games. I think, in my opinion, I think the movie was decent. I think it definitely had a lot of really good, like you said, I like the parallelism. I think the messaging behind it, not everyone's going to get, as you can see, with the controversy that's already out on social media. I do like the way that it's done overall. However, it wasn't, for me, it's not like it was like I appreciate the art of it, not the entertainment of it.
Oh, I really like that. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Movie,
if you can understand what that means. I feel like a lot of
Saltburn
women,
is the same way. Keep going.
Huh?
Saltburn is the same way. Keep going.
I could see that. I do like the outfits in Saltburn though. I do feel like there is a whole group of women that will get that movie to a T.
That's what I'm saying. This movie is written for the
a
older
very
women.
specific generation.
Yeah. A generation of women who had to suppress their desires and, they're probably just now getting to even think about exploring them at a late age. So that's who it was for. That's who's going to get it. I got it. I loved it. We'll be watching it again. That's my review. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Don't forget, wear condoms.
Wear condoms, yeah.
What else?
That's it.
You're welcome to check out my course, Empowering Caretakers, at empoweredcaretakers.com. Use Empower for $10 off. I am really excited about it. So,
yep.
I'll link below.
We'll see you guys next time.